Hi, I'm Raleigh Brown, and this is the first curve flattening concert of a new year. Happy New Year to you all, and it's 2021. Burks is the first man in here, the first one I see up on the chat. Hi, Burks. We hope for a better year, an even better year than last year. The bar is so high. And today I thought I would just do some, it kind of fell together. There were a few songs I wanted to do, and my old friend Rich Laughlin requested a song, and I thought I would be able to do that. And so today is story songs, and then I'm going to do Steve Mann's beautiful instrumental Holly when we get to the instrumental part. So this first one is a song that is from way back in my youth. I don't know if my brother will be on today, my brother Richard Brown, but if he is, he'll remember this one. It was probably his album that I heard it on originally. Hi, Gary, Margot, Steve Snyder, Ann Mintz, Dwight Shoemate, Big Dan, Steve Black, Alan Kane, Michael Tierson, Ben Layden, Warren Bendler, Bunny Barnes with Stephen, maybe, Michael DeSanctis, Bud Manning, Diney and Wayne in Winfield, Kansas. I was just thinking about you guys, Deb Libby Clark, Susie Burke. And I was talking, I think, with Ann last night about the possibility that there could actually be a Winfield this year by September. Who knows? It gave me a little bit of hope. To the town of Isle of Free, who rode a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to folks around him, didn't have too much to say. No one dared to ask his business, no one dared to make a slip, for that stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip. It was early in the morning when he rode into the town. He came riding from the south side, slowly looking all around. He's an outlaw who's been running, came the whisper from each lip, and he's here to do some business with that big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip. Now in this town there lived an outlaw by the name of Texas Red. Many men had tried to take him, and that many men were dead. He was vicious and a killer, though he used a 24, and the notches on his pistol numbered 1 and 19 more, 1 and 19 more. Now the stranger started talking, made it plain to folks around. He was an Arizona Ranger, wouldn't be too long in town. He came here to take an outlaw back, alive or maybe dead. He said it didn't matter, he was after Texas Red, after Texas Red. Now it wasn't long before the message was relayed to Texas Red, but the outlaw didn't worry, men who tried before were dead. 20 men had tried to take him, 20 men had made a slip. 21 would be the ranger with the big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. Now the morning passed so quickly, it was time for them to meet. It was 20 past 11 when they walked out in the street. Folks were watching from the windows, everybody held their breath. They knew this handsome ranger was about to meet his death, about to meet his death. There was 40 feet between them when they stopped to make their play. And the swiftness of the ranger is still talked about today. Texas Red had not cleared leather when a bullet fairly ripped, and the ranger's aim was deadly with the big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. It was over in a moment, and the people gathered round. There before them lay the body of the outlaw on the ground. Well, he might have gone on living, but he made one fatal slip when he tried to take the ranger with the big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. Big iron, big iron, when he tried to take the ranger with the big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. Big Iron, and that was on an album called Gunfighter Ballads. What was it called? It might have had a slightly longer name, but mainly it was Gunfighter Ballads. It had kind of pink cover with Marty Robbins, all decked out, dressed up like Paladin, if you remember Paladin from Have Gun Will Travel, for those of you who are old enough, and all in black with the black flat-brimmed hat. Looking bad. Last time I did that song, I asked if anyone knew who wrote it, and somebody said it was Marty Robbins himself who wrote it. He wasn't famed as a songwriter, but if he wrote that, it puts him in the pantheon right there in my book. So let's say hello. Michael Tierson, I see you there. I can't remember who I said hi to. I didn't say hi to Steve Gouge yet. Carol Pred, nice to see you. Sue Lewandowski, my sister-in-law. Hoping for a better year this year, I know. S.A. Tudhope and Mike Verbeck and Iceland Bain. And Lauren Payne and Charlotte Cantrell. Hey, and Pamela Zappardino, who, what is Kokomo just calls you? Zap, I think. And Terry Smith is here. Marianne Kelleher. Hi, Marianne. Cindy Glorioso, Michelle Benjamin, Steve Edelman, Joyce Goldberg, Judy Wong. It's a pretty nice crowd here. You guys, nice of you to stop by. Kiara Boss from the Netherlands, I believe, or at least from Scandinavia. I can't remember which country it is. She used to live here in Bucks County. Very nice woman. And Melissa Woodall Fleming, the Queen of Snark, is with us. Jim Moore, my old friend from junior high and on. And Alex Bevins stops by. Hey, buddy. Tom Dietz, Charlie Ardelani. Okay, Charlie Bryant. Can't say hi to everybody, even so much as I would like to. So next, this is another story song, and it's also kind of a cowboy song, but the story is not very clear. It's kind of mysterious. I think Willie Nelson said that when he recorded this, he didn't really know what it meant. Of course, he might have been in a kind of cannabis haze when he recorded it, so there's no telling. But this is just one of the great songs of the 20th century, I think, by one of the great songwriters, Townes Van Zandt. on the road, my friend, who's gonna make you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron, your breath's as hard as kerosene. You weren't your mama's only boy, but her favorite one, it seems. She began to cry when you said goodbye. It sank into your dreams. Now Pancho was a bandit, boys. His horse was fast as polished steel. He wore his gun outside his belt for all the honest world to feel. They say he met his end, you know, on the desert south in Mexico. But no one heard his dying word. That's the way it goes. And all the federales say they could have had him any day. They just let him go that way, out of kindness, I suppose. Lefty, he can't sing the blues all night long like he used to. The dust that Pancho bit down south, well, it ended up in Lefty's mouth. And the day they laid poor Pancho low, Lefty split for Ohio, where he got the bread to go. There ain't nobody knows. And all the federales say they could have had him any day. They just let him go that way, out of kindness, I suppose. Now the poets tell how Pancho fell, left his living in a cheap hotel, and the desert is quiet and Cleveland is cold. So the story ends, we're told. Pancho needs your prayers, it's true, but save a few for Lefty too. He just did what he had to do. Now he's growing old. And all the federales say they could have had him any day. They just let him go that way, out of kindness, I suppose. Some gray federales say they could have had him any day. They just let him go that way, out of kindness, I suppose. Wonderfully evocative songwriting. So, a little bit of announcements here. I will be back tomorrow at 10:30 for my morning concert, which will be a half hour after the Kokomo Kid is on for his Coffee with Kokomo, the Kokomo Cafe. And so he's on at 10 every morning of the week except Saturday, so he wasn't on today. And he is actually Guy Davis, who's very highly regarded blues singer, songwriter, raconteur, guitar picker. Great guy. And so then I'll be on at 10:30. On Monday, Alex Bevan will be streaming at 3:30. And on Tuesday, Cozy Sheridan and Charlie Koch will be at 10:30, again, right after the Kokomo Kid. And I will be on at 3, and then I'll be doing a full-hour concert for the Folk Project. Their program is called Stay Away Concerts. And I will put another link up on the page, at least on that day, probably the day before. And that'll be a full hour of a lot of original material. I'm using it as an opportunity because they do not pay royalties to have other people's material on there. So I'm going to play a bunch of my own tunes. Some instrumental, some singing, some old things I wrote long ago, some new things I just wrote recently, a couple blues tunes that are in the public domain. You will like them, I assure you. And should be a really fun show. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can go to it actually if you want to by going to facebook.com/folk project. That's one word, Folk Project. And you'll find the page and you should be able to get to it from there. Okay, I think that's, and since I'm going to be back for these other days, I'm not going beyond Tuesday. So here's one. Charlotte Cantrell is here, and she went to high school with Steve Mann, who later became my friend. And before he became my friend, he was my idol. I idolized his guitar playing, and I still do. And he passed away about 10 and a half years ago. Still miss him. And he wrote a lot of great blues arrangements, but this is not a blues. This is just a beautiful guitar instrumental called Holly. I always loved the way Steve ended that with this backward strum. Like instead of this, he did this. The little fine nuances of Steve Mann's guitar playing. Hi, Bob Walker's here. Karen Beatty. Karen, the package went out for you in the mail today or yesterday. Can't remember which now. Yesterday. And Helen's went out today. Hi, you all. It's good to see you all. Kathy Croft from up in Canada. And Dan Senny. Hi, Dan. And Dan and Faith. Dan just had a birthday. He must be in his late 20s by now, at least, I'm thinking. And Doug Sedgwick, Steve Davidson, Keith Shaw. Keith Shaw goes, Dylan? And I answer, yes, Dylan. So the last story song it's a Bob Dylan song, and Dylan said when he wrote this song, one of his goals was to write a song that you couldn't fix in time when it happened, like what era it would have been talking about. And I think he did a pretty good job. It's pretty strangely universal or just unclear what century. But in writing it, he wrote my favorite ever Bob Dylan song. So, and I always mention when I play this one that I came up with this guitar arrangement in an attempt to basically capture the sound of Bert Jansch's guitar arranging, and only in a Bob Dylan song. So. Well, early one morning the sun was shining, I was laying in bed, wondering if she had changed at all, if her hair was still red. Now her folks, they said our lives together, it sure was going to be tough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress, Daddy's bank book wasn't big enough. And I was standing by the side of the road, rain pouring on my shoes, heading out for the East Coast. Lord knows I paid some dues getting through. Tangled up in blue. Now she was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. She helped me out of a jam, I guess, but she used a little too much force. We drove that car as far as we could, abandoned it out west. Split up on a dark, sad night, both agreeing it was best. She turned around to look at me as I was walking away. I heard her say over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue. Tangled up in blue. Now I had a job in the great North Woods, working as a cook for a spell, but I never did like it all that much, and one day the axe just fell. So I drifted down to New Orleans, working as a... So I drifted down to New Orleans. Listen to the line there. Working for a while on a fishing boat outside of Delacroix. And all the time I was alone, the past was close behind. I seen a lot of women, but she never escaped my mind. And I just grew tangled up in blue. She was working in a topless place, and I stopped in for a beer. I just kept looking at the side of her face in the spotlight so clear. And then later on, when the crowd thinned out, I was just about to do the same. But she was standing there beside my chair. She said, "Tell me, don't I know your name?" Well, I muttered something underneath my breath. She studied the lines in my face. I must admit I was a little uneasy when she bent down to tie the laces of my shoe. Tangled up in blue. She lit a burner on the stove and offered me a pipe. "I thought you'd never say hello," she said. "Well, you look like the silent type." And then she opened up a book of poems and handed it to me, written by an Italian poet from the 13th century. And every one of them words rang true and glowed like burning coals, leaping off of every page, like they was written in my soul from me to you. Tangled up in blue. Well, I lived with them on Montague Street, in a basement down the stair. There was music in the cafes at night and revolution in the air. Then he started into dealing with slaves. Something inside of him died, and she had to sell everything she owned, froze up inside. And then when finally the bottom fell out, I became withdrawn. The only thing I knew how to do was to keep on keeping on, like a bird that flew. Tangled up in blue. So now I'm headed back again. I got to get to her somehow. All those people we used to know, they're an illusion to me now. Some are mathematicians, some are carpenters' wives. I don't know how it all got started. I don't know what we did with our lives. But me, I'm still on the road, headed for another joint. We always did feel the same. We just saw it from a different point of view. Tangled up in blue. Tangled Up in Blue by Bob Dylan. And as I was singing it, I was thinking about what I said. I mean, you know, obviously it was written about a time when there were cars and stuff like that. But particularly that verse about there's music in the cafes at night and revolution in the air. That could be, you know, that could be in Paris. That could before the revolution. That could be so many places. Anyhow, great song. Great songs by Townes Van Zandt, by Bob Dylan, and one by Marty Robbins, too, and a great instrumental by Steve Mann. You got everything here. So I want to thank you all yet again for joining me and passing some time with me. Ann Caston, bless your little heart for the package you sent me. I will immerse myself in sweets. Dave Van Allen's here. Mia says hi to Uncle Raleigh. Hi, Mia. Tell Eli I said hello to. Mia and Eli are twins. And they are cute and smart kids. And John Sprouse, I hope I said hi to everybody who needed saying hi to. I didn't see Kit Serikaku. Is she on here? I'll say hi to her anyhow because she'll listen in later. Hi, Kit Serikaku. Hey, Michael DeSanctis. Okay, so let's switch over to the Halo cam. What an effect. Okay, so thanks again for tuning in. Stay safe. Remember, this is not over. We haven't even succeeded at having an inauguration yet. And after that, it's going to take time to turn this big old ocean liner around. In the meantime, stay as safe as you can. And try to stay as sane as you can. And as Alex would say, if you get cranky, take a nap. Bye-bye.